Welcome to the Tower Yoga Podcast, where we dive deep into the heart of yoga and community. Come along with us as we explore the transformative power of yoga, share insights, and inspire one another on this journey of life. I'm Kellee Williams, and I'm your host and the co-founder of Tower Yoga. Thank you for joining our yoga community. Hello, Radiant Souls. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today we are getting into the element of fire, a force that in both yoga and Ayurveda represents transformation, vitality, and energy. Fire, or Agni in Sanskrit, is an incredible element. When we talk about fire in the body and in our lives from the perspective of yoga and Ayurveda, we're actually talking about so much more than just warmth. We're talking about so much more than just our body's ability to digest the food we take in that transforms and becomes, our body. We're talking about everything that we take in through what we see and how we process that to understand what it is that we're witnessing. We're talking about all of the information and the input that we get that transforms and turns into wisdom. We're talking about the feelings and emotions and pings that we listen to in order to teach us and guide us on how we move about the world and our daily lives, that teach us how to discern and make decisions. We're talking about our inner drive, our motivation, and our power to evolve and grow. In August, a few months back, we did our first elemental episode, and that was on the element of water. And I dove a little deeper into the foundations of Ayurveda. And so if you haven't listened to that episode, it could be a good idea to go back and listen to that episode as a primer for this one. Or if you haven't listened to that episode, but you've listened to recent episodes, I've been touching on Ayurveda a little bit more, so maybe you'll have enough context there. So just in case there's any of you out there, though, that haven't been listening, this is your first episode, I will give just like a brief recap of what Ayurveda is. You can get on into the episode. But please, if you like this one, go back and listen to that water episode. And I'll make sure I link that in the show notes. So Ayurveda is an ancient approach to living in harmony by balancing all the energies within us, often through the five senses. Ayurveda categorizes these energies into doshas, also known as constitutions or body-mind types. Today we are exploring how the fire element shows up in Ayurveda as what's known as pitta dosha and helps to spark and enliven us in our lives. As you listen to this episode, keep in mind that each element brings something really unique and special, and Ayurveda invites us to find balance by tuning into these qualities. So getting back to that water episode I did in August, it was the dead of summer, and so it's really hot. And in Ayurveda, there's a principle called like increases like, which means anything that we have a lot of, even in excess of, anything that we add to that of the same qualities is probably going to throw us out of balance and cause dis-ease and discomfort. And so you bring in a little bit of the opposing quality to help pacify that excess so you feel in harmony and balance. And that's why now that we're a few months later in fall, getting closer and closer to winter, and as it's getting colder and colder, definitely thinking, oh yeah, we need to touch on the element of fire to bring that sense of balance. In Ayurveda, balance is also achieved by nourishing our five senses, which are touch, sound, taste, sight, and smell. Yes, I'm using my fingers to try to remember. So let's look a little deeper into how we can experience the element of fire through the senses, helping us embody the warmth in our daily lives. So first things first, touch. And you can think about touch when you think about feeling warmth on your skin. That could be the sun on your face, or the heat of a cozy fire, or practicing in the hot room, or even getting all cozy with a blanket. It could be wrapping your hands around a mug of tea or coffee. It could be getting in a hot bath or hot spring. Could be sitting in a sauna or a steam room. And think about how your body feels when, especially if you're like cold before, when you receive that warmth on your skin. When we receive warmth on our skin, it naturally activates our energy and awakens our senses of, presence and motivation. So when you need a little boost this winter, try stepping into the sunlight. I know it might not feel warm outside, but maybe you can still turn your face to the sun, or, wrap up in a super soft, warm, cozy blanket to reconnect to fire's energy, to remind you of that warmth. Wrap yourself up in warmth, literally. Sound. The sound of fire can be both calming and really powerful. Think about the crackle of a bonfire, or the roar or the whoosh of a campfire, or even like the hum of energy in a bustling kitchen at a cozy restaurant or at your family's home. You could listen to the sound of fire by opening your Spotify or wherever you get music and listening to a recording. You could pull up your YouTube and put on one of those kind of fake fireplace settings, and not only then do you have a visual, which we haven't got into sight yet, but the sound of the fire. You can look at a candle and watch the flame and meditate on the flame. And this can all add some fiery ambiance to your daily life. Allow the sound of fire to remind you of your own inner strength and drive. Taste. Let's talk about taste, especially as it relates to your digestive fire, or once again, as I mentioned at the top of the episode, your Agni. And although it's so much more than just referencing your digestion, it definitely is. It's definitely a big piece of your Agni. Agni is your ability to process, like I said, and digest, and it thrives on foods that have a bit of heat, like ginger, cayenne, or black pepper, spices like that. Spices that naturally stoke the digestive fire, which of course aid in metabolism and overall vitality. When we take time to taste and appreciate warming foods, we honor our body's need to stay energized and balanced. Sight. Visually, fire is so captivating. I probably don't have to tell you that. And there's fire ceremonies that have been held across cultures. It's a big thing in Vedic culture. I know that it's a big thing in a lot of native cultures as well. And watching flames can be so centering, as long as the fire is like controlled. And, if you can, I encourage you to do your own little fire ceremony if you have access to a fireplace or a little bonfire, and to just gaze on those flames. You could even connect it to the lunar cycle and on a full moon or a new moon. Jot down some intentions and throw them into the fire even. But if you can't play with fire, consider bringing the color of fire into your space. So maybe a red or orange candle, maybe even one that has a little bit of these fall scents that are also very warming. That's getting into smell, which is next. You might add some more warm toned lighting in your space, or even a picture, or a painting of a sunrise or a sunset. That's even another thing that you could do. You could wrap yourself up in a cozy blanket, put your hands on a warm mug of tea of all the warming spices. You could just hit all your senses all at once and watch the sunrise or watch the sunset, or maybe even go on a sunset hike or a walk and just watch the sun as it goes down. These visuals remind us to stay connected to our passion and our purpose, which is a core aspect of the fire element. Another thing with sight is, I'm sure you have seen, hopefully, so I guess I'm not sure, but I hope you've seen at least one time in your life where you've beheld or witnessed someone who had a spark in their eyes, like they were all fired up about something. And even that phrase, fired up, that their passion is something that you can see, right? Like you might practice looking for that in the people that you encounter. You might even practice looking for that in your own eyes or recognizing that. Something so beautiful. Smell. The scent of a campfire, or like I said, that candle with the warming spices can spark our sense of energy and movement. Essential oils like clove and cinnamon and sandalwood can remind us of the heat and transformation that fire brings. You could also even incorporate these scents through incense. If you're not sensitive to them, you might light an incense stick that maybe like a sandalwood or something else warming, and light that for your meditation or your yoga session. You can let the aroma keep your inner flame alive. In yoga, fire is also linked to the third chakra, or the Manipura, located at the solar plexus. So this is the energy center for personal power or will and drive, transformation. When this chakra is balanced, we feel confident, we're motivated, we have the, gusto to take on challenges and make things happen. To connect with this chakra, try focusing on core strengthening in general, but maybe even specific postures like boat pose or plank pose. These postures help us engage our inner fire, building strength and determination. And another way is even just can you hold your posture for a little longer, even when you feel like the burn within your muscles, right? Can you hold your composure, not your breath, but your composure in a conversation where you're feeling a fire within start to build if it's a little spicy? These are all things to kind of think about, especially when thinking about balance. You can also use breath to connect with fire. So I'm not sure if we've gone through this pranayama, this breath technique before, but there is a pranayama called Kapalbhati, and it is also known as the breath of fire. And we can try it together if you want. If you are not in a position or in a good moment to try a pranayama with me, then just listen and you can come back to this later. I will say if for some reason because it can be quite cardiovascular and it can kind of bring the heart rate up and bring the core temperature up. And so if there's some reason for you in your life where that wouldn't be a good and great thing to do, then again, just listen. You can come back or not, but just stand by. So we'll try it together. Take a deep breath in and let half of the air out. Pause, and then rapidly pull your belly button quick, like a forceful motion, and let it release. Let the inhale come passively, like this. Breathe naturally. So it's a bit like creating or stoking that flame, your internal flame. It's from the diaphragm. It's a contraction and release of the diaphragm. It's taught to be a kind of sharp and short pull or contraction as you exhale, and then just a release. That's it for the inhale. And it's quick, it's rhythmic, it's rapid. There's a practice in Bikram where they use the mouth, and some other practices maybe. And that's fine. I tend to stick with my nose unless I can't really breathe out of my nose, because I know that that's the optimal way to take in and filter air, which I'm interested in. But it's not wrong. It's just another way. The way I like to do it, which is how I'm guiding it in this moment, is in and out the nose with the mouth closed. So that's not it. We'll try again. And just also remember that it's this like diaphragmatic contraction and release. And so even if it's coming through your speaker or headphones as like a very nasally thing, it's less of like the nasal passageways and more of like a deep diaphragmatic thing. Okay, so let's try again. Take a breath in. Let just like half your air out, and then shoot for 10 reps. Breathe naturally. Oh, I forgot to warn you, you might need a little tissue. Clears things out, warms things up. All right, let's just do one more round for good measure. Lots of good things coming through. Take a breath in. Half your breath out in the begin. Breathe naturally. This practice can wake you up. It can warm you up. It can connect you to those qualities of fire. So I hope you feel inspired to bring more fire into your daily life just by some of the things that we talked about. And they're probably things you're already doing, okay? But the difference is that you're doing them consciously and with intention, that you're honoring the element by focusing on how to use it so that you feel harmonized and grounded in your life. So that's the good news, it's simple things. A lot of these things are probably just like things you're doing anyways, because we're, shifting seasons. It's the intention behind the things you're doing that makes this stuff really powerful. So again, with touch, just feel warmth on your skin in one of those many ways we talked about. With sound, listen to the crackle of a fire or the bustling of a cozy kitchen. Taste, add some spices to your meals. Have at least one warming, nourishing meal a day if you can. Some root veggies with spices, or a soup with like all those good spices, or a curry. Sight, watch a sunrise or a sunset, or meditate on the flickering flame of a candle. Smell, light an incense of sandalwood, or go camping and build a campfire and let your hair smell like campfire for a couple days. All these things are really, really good ways to honor fire just in your regular daily life. If you're feeling inspired to celebrate with fire and be in community, then there is a ecstatic dance, yoga and ecstatic dance happening tomorrow, Saturday, November 16th at 7 p.m. in the Lotus Room. DJ Groovy Drew will be bringing the heat with his curated set. I will be developing a fire flow for the yoga portion, and of course we all get to embody freely through the ecstatic dance portion, how we're letting that fire of transformation move through us. This is how we will tend our inner fire. At the end, there will be an electronic sound bath with maybe some crackles like we were talking about, maybe a little bit of a sound of an ember kind of slowly dying down. And, we will be honoring all aspects of fire. So, of course, we've been talking about a lot of the beautiful harmonizing and balancing aspects of fire, which involve, creation and like sustaining. But also, of course, as we know, fire can be quite a destructive thing as well. And just like us, it's dynamic and it has many sides. And so we won't be shying all the way from those other qualities too. We might let things start to intensify a little bit too. I think that's like a good thing to note, that of course we're talking about a lot of those ways to find balance. That's something that Ayurveda is here to help us do. But I in no way want to pretend that there isn't a shadow side of fire as well. Of course there is, just like there is with me and you. So we will be tending that inner fire together, friends, and tending a collective fire for the yoga and ecstatic dance. You're more than welcome to join, and I really, really, really hope to see you there. Thanks again for listening in and joining our yoga community. If it so resonates, please share this episode with a friend. Remember, the inner light of awareness within me honors the inner light of awareness within you. Until next time, stay grounded, stay present, and keep flowing with grace.